The Lunar Guardsman. Written by Krimar. Chapter 10. Closing Doors, Part 2.
Oh, Rigdon, what have you done?
Twilight thought to herself. Rarity was making croaking noises in the corner. She was doing all she could to keep herself from emptying her stomach. It was perfectly understandable. This was a very disturbing find.
Twilight? Is that what I think it is?
Applejack asked.
Yes, that's a unicorn's horn.
Twilight examined it carefully, despite how reluctant she was. It was just the bone of the horn, what they called in medical terms the alicorn. It was long, much longer than average, almost Celestia-sized. She checked the base. The part that was connected to the rest of the skull had been expertly trimmed off. This horn had been removed with painstaking care. Who did it belong to? Why did Rigdon have...
Is there anything else in there?
Twilight asked Applejack.
Applejack.
Twilight called to bring her back to attention.
Yeah. Let me check.
Apprehensive for anything similar popping out at her, Applejack dug all the way down to the end of the box's contents. Twilight waited, examining the horn's sharp end.
Nope. Nothing else, Twilight. Look, can we go now? I think I've had enough of digging through Rigdon's stuff for a lifetime. I really like the big guy, but I'm sorely tempted to bring that thing there to Princess Celestia's attention and let her get to the bottom of this. If Shining Armor hadn't said...
Applejack covered her muzzle with her hooves. Twilight's eyes popped straight at Applejack. That was it. She had enough of tipping around, waiting for Rigdon to drop little hints, and she certainly wasn't going to stand for her friends hiding information from her. A little filly left orphaned, a mare left crippled, a stallion lost in a coma, Pinkie Pie almost dead, Rigdon and Luna apparently afraid of their own rooms, inspecting them for traps every day as if there were intruders in their own living quarters. A horrendous thing like this in Rigdon's possessions. And all for what? She had no idea. 3 days trying to deduce what the heck was going on, and she still had no idea. None at all. Some ponies were trying to kill Luna and Rigdon. Why? She still had no idea. Luna and Rigdon were afraid of something, but it wasn't the ponies trying to kill them. At least not really. What was it? She had no idea. Luna and Rigdon had assembled an armory. For what? She had no idea. What was the real reason they needed a personal army? No idea. Why weren't they honest with them or Celestia? She glanced at the bone in her magic field. She was starting to have some suspicions for this at least, but this was the end of it. She was done waddling through ignorance, timidly asking for scraps, and acting like a little filly again, trusting other ponies to know best. She was a grown mare, and she would have her answers. And Applejack had some of them.
You're a horrible liar, Applejack. You know it and I know it, so don't try to lie about this. What did Shining Armor say? I want to know everything,
Twilight demanded. Applejack sighed in surrender.
I gotta say, it would be a load off my chest, Sugar Cube. But are you sure about that? It's not good. Not good at all.
Everything, Applejack. All that you know,
Twilight reiterated. Applejack told her everything, holding nothing back. Applejack told her about Rigdon's suicide attempt. That alone was almost enough to break her newfound resolve, but Twilight pressed on. Her expertise lay on her mind, on her thinking. She had to know as much as possible or she would continue being a dead weight. Applejack then told her about Shining Armor's theory of what Rigdon did years ago. Twilight let the horn fall and clatter to the ground, raising a small cloud of dust. She looked at it with rising horror. Rarity's face was filled with disgust, and Applejack let the facade of calmness fade from her and in the adopted stance of surrender. She had known what it was the moment she saw it, Twilight realized. Applejack didn't tell Twilight because Applejack believed in family most of all, and she didn't want to do anything that might ruin Twilight and Spike's relationship with Rigdon, not when she wasn't entirely sure.
It's a trophy,
Twilight whispered to herself in horrified fascination.
Maybe,
Applejack said.
Or maybe it's something else entirely. Maybe he stole it from medical school, for instance. I don't think so, but we don't know for sure, do we?
She brought her hoof to Twilight's shoulder.
Look, Sugar Cube, We can't know for sure, can we? It might be nothing at all.
He was skinning him when I went in there.
Twilight kept whispering, memories rushing back to her.
What? Twilight, what are you talking about?
When I had that fight with Raikden,
Twilight explained, speaking in a low and broken, trembling sentences. She felt cold, so very cold. The dust and tight confines of the storage room were choking her.
2 years ago, I found some papers in Princess Celestia's office. Old ones. They were about Raikden. Reports from the medical wing, back when they first found him. They had brought him in almost dead. Bones broken, burnt, slashed apart, and a hole in his chest that had pierced him through, barely missing and going through his heart. He almost didn't make it. They kept him muzzled. That's what I found most strange. As if they were afraid he was going to try and bite them. Eat them. I wondered then. We never met one of Raikden's kind before, but that must mean he never met one of our kind either, right? So if he met a pony, and he was hungry, if he was hunting for food, then called him a monster as soon as he arrived here, even half dead, why? Unless...
Twilight, I think you might be overreacting. That's just an assumption.
So I went to find him, ask him what had happened so long ago. He was down in the dungeons. I went inside and I saw him. He tried to tell me it was just a large boar. He had cut off the head and legs, but there was a note of the coat left. I convinced myself later that I had just imagined it, that I was too lost in my own fears and I just projected something made up in my mind over what was really there.
Twilight, what are you saying? You said you made a mistake, didn't you? Come on, Raikden wouldn't do something like that,
Applejack insisted.
Boars don't have white coats. Boars don't have colors on their flanks like cutie marks. He was skinning a pony.
She pointed a horn in front of her.
This pony? Oh, Celestia, what did he do? How could he do this?
She shouted in horror. She turned around and started marching outside. Applejack and Rarity rushed beside her.
Twilight, where are you going?
Rarity asked, frightened.
The dungeons,
she answered.
There might be still something there. You are right, Applejack. I don't know, but I have to. I will.
Twilight choked. The dungeons were bleak and damp, as they should be. It was what you expected of them. You weren't sent here for giggling too loudly, after all. But Twilight and her two friends went deeper, entering the level below them. The old dungeons. Here, there was no light. No small grates that allowed a modicum of sunlight to pierce through and remind the prisoners that on the surface, there was life and light. Down here, there was only darkness, and the fire-lit torches that struggled to keep it at bay. Twilight didn't bother with those. Her horn lit up and she created a magic lantern to shine above them, bathing the dreary surroundings in a soft blue glow. She nodded towards a heavy iron door that blocked one of the cells, deep down the corridor.
That's the one,
she said.
It's going to be quite smelly, just so you know. It's very bloody work, what he is doing, and it leaves quite a distinct smell.
Her voice echoed on the cold stone walls.
Oh, great,
said Rarity.
I swear I will never feel clean enough.
Twilight opened the door. The room inside was... It was sparkling clean. That's what it was. She examined the floor. The wet stone was shining in a magically conjured light. This room had been thoroughly cleaned, and recently at that. There were still some puddles of water in the corner. When did they... Twilight's gaze locked in the middle of the room. There, upon a lone stool were two small pouches, inviting them to look through them with their presence.
Well, that certainly looks better than I feared,
Rarity said in relief. She noticed the stool that Twilight was approaching.
Oh, this isn't going to end well. I can tell.
Twilight examined the pouches as her friends approached, one from each side. They were black and cheap-looking. The smaller one was on top of the bigger one, the base pouch having something solid stashed in it. Twilight picked up a small pouch first, dread filling her, and pulled out some of its contents. It was hair. Just a tiny pile of few short hairs wrapped in a piece of paper.
Huh. Now that's kind of anticlimactic, ain't it?
Applejack said. Twilight wasn't sure about that. She concentrated on her spell and changed the light's color to a bright white and checked the short hairs again. There was a small collection of different colored ones. There were white ones, blue, orange, purple.
Uh-oh,
Twilight said.
What?
Applejack asked.
What did I miss? Rarity? Why are you all looking so scared? What's going on?
Twilight, her magic grip shaking, piled the coat hairs back into a small pouch and retrieved the bigger one. She pulled out the pair of rectangles that it contained.
Ah, pony feathers.
Applejack cursed in understanding. 2 metal squares. One of them had a hole pierced through it, and the other had a small bump. Twilight looked back at the pouch. Yep, there it was, the metal spike she had used.
they know.
Rarity said hysterically.
Twilight, they know. I told you this was a bad idea. They're gonna have our heads. He's gonna
Her eyes flicked towards the grisly trophy that Twilight kept in the pouch.
have our horns.
She hissed in terror. The heavy door behind them shook the room with a vibrating, clanging sound as it was forcibly shut. Yep, they're screwed. I mean, now they're in the dungeon he cut ponies up in, so that's just wonderful. I'm curious what happens next, and I hope you guys enjoyed this, 10-minute content. I don't plan on doing this forever, just until I lower my series so I can maintain a better pace with all my other ones. So I hope this wasn't too bad. That aside, however, I would like to thank my wonderful Patreons. Thank you, my T1 Patreon Squall, Windfeather, Juan de La Paz, Starlight Blaze, Rain Flicker, and Dreamless Portal. My Tier 2 Patreons Chase Lemaster, Sword Brother and Mordred, Nocturne, Solus, RT Bryant, Captain Blueshadow, Danish Dash, HKH4 aka Texture, and the Animated Ghost. And of course a large thank you to Silent Titan. I appreciate your guys' support so much and it means a ton to me. That aside, however, this has been Firehearth. Have a wonderful day.